Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Most Accurate Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Akins. I am joined by my co-host, Justin Edwards, on Lucky 13 or Lucky Week, Lucky Week 7, not Lucky Week 13. Some of us wish it was
Almost.
Lucky Week 13. Almost. Lucky Week 7, though. We are here. This is our weekly streaming show where we go over all the streaming options at the four positions: quarterback, tight end, kicker, and defense. Before we start all that, Justin, how's it going?
Very good, actually. No complaints over here. Rolling right along. I don't have too many like dead teams at this point, so that's nice. But we'll see. No 2 and 5ers yet, but the injuries are impossible to avoid. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, the injuries are. This past weekend, it was nuts. I mean, literally, just in like the first set of games, it was just like, all right, here we go. Like Olave's out, Evans is out. I mean, he came back, but it was just like Wicks. All these people just kept piling on into the medical tent, and just in the first set of games, I'm like, is there going to be anyone left to play this game?
Right.
Yeah, it's been a little rough. But I think it happens every year, but we just like forget how bad it is, and then every
Right.
year we're like, this is the worst year ever. But really, it's it happens every year. It's part of the game. All right. Well, let's get to last week's recap real quick before we move on. I will go through my guys real quick. For the quarterback, going into this, I told you the quarterback was disgusting. We hated it.
Right.
I only gave out 3. Carr was if he plays, and he didn't. So I gave out 2, and then a last minute, like if you're absolutely desperate, of course, that's the guy that hits. And that was Bo Nix. He was quarterback 10 with 20 points. So hopefully if you were that desperate, you threw him in there. The other 2 were Joe Flacco at quarterback 19 with 13.7 points. And then Daniel Jones was quarterback 24, rounding out the QB2 with 11.8 points. Not a great week for quarterback, but hopefully this week we can do a little better there. Justin, how'd you do at tight end?
Tight ends were more or less kind of meh. We didn't have anyone huge pop off. Tucker Kraft is off the board now, sadly. But we had 2 tight end 1 performances out of Zach Ertz, who did pop back with his usual 4 receptions for not many yards. Kate Otten was the tight end 12 with 8.5 points. And then we had a couple of stinkers. Tyler Conklin last night had 2 half PPR points. That's a bummer. And then Theo Johnson was kind of our bonus, like deeper play. He was the tight end 24 with 4.5 points. We weren't stoked on Theo Johnson. We just thought that maybe his role would continue to grow. And the Bengals haven't been that stout of a defense, but then the Giants scored all of 7 points. So that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. We got 2 tight end 1s and then 2 kind of crap the bed plays.
I just realized I'm on mute.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
No, I thought it was me. I'm like, oh man.
No, that was
volume
me.
just went out.
No, that was me. No, I was just saying that I feel like right now the way tight end is like getting too tight. I mean, come on, you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit for that one.
Right.
All right, we're gonna move on to kicker. Kicker was a banner week in the kicker department.
Okay.
I will say that our tried and true Jake Bates was kicker 1 on the week with 17 points. Yep. Then we have Matthew Wright came in at kicker 4. Basically, we had all 4 of my kickers were among the top 12. So
that's a fantastic week.
Right?
How do you can't possibly do better than that?
No. Jake Bates kicker 1 with 17 points. Matthew Wright tied for kicker 4 with 12. Braden Narvison, our Narv dog, was kicker 10 with 10 points. And then Chase McLaughlin came in at kicker 12 with 9 points. So,
that'll do.
It'll do. And this week, I think we have a decent week ahead as well. How did you do in defense? Or how did you do in defense, I should say?
We did great again. If I recall correctly, last week we had like the defense 1 and the defense 3, and then a couple other great choices. This week, all 4 of our defenses finished in the top 13. We had some teams on bye, so maybe it's kind of cheating, but we did have the overall defense 3 with the Texans at the Patriots. Even though Drake May looked much better than Jacoby Brissett, it was still a good spot to attack him there. The Bucks were the overall defense 4 against the Saints and Spencer Radler. Then the Eagles were the defense 13 against the Browns, and the Chargers were the defense 11 against the Broncos. So the number 3 overall, 4th overall, 11th and 13th. So you really couldn't have gone too wrong by picking any of the guys.
Yeah,
any of the squads.
Yeah, I streamed the Eagles in one of my leagues, and it worked out well for me.
Yeah.
I've been riding with the Bears, and I streamed the Eagles this week, just and I'm happy I did because they did score more. So
yeah,
that was an advantage there. All right, so that's wrapping up week 5 with a nice, or I'm sorry, week 6.
Good week 6
with a nice little bow. Yeah, we kind of did. All right, let's move on to our weird sport of the week. So I find that all of our weird sport of the weeks in recent weeks, at least, have been sports that are kind of negative. We're like, why would you do that? Horrible. Don't want to do it. So this week, I purposely sought out a sport that I was like, this could be really cool. I landed on car curling. Okay, car curling, or it could be referred to as auto curling in some places. It is a sport that has come out of Russia. It is like it sounds. It is like curling, right? The Olympic curling. Instead of stones, you use cars. So you have a team of 10, and so there's no engine power or brooms used. Basically, there's a driver sitting in the car. There is no glass. There is no engine in the car, but you are sliding the car across ice to hit a target, and the guy in the driver's seat is steering to reach the target. Similar to the real curling sport, the team closest to the center of the target wins. I think that would be super fun. I mean, I don't know how that's not fun.
My brief research on the subject, I didn't realize there was actually a driver.
Yes,
or someone sitting. I guess they're not really driving.
No,
I'm sure they can turn the wheel to maneuver, drift a little better.
There's no engine, so they're just kind of there. Someone asked in the chat if they're Yugos. Actually, they are called it's a compact Oka car, OKA. I assume it's similar to some sort of Yugo European.
They're very small.
Very small.
They kind of look like they're like the size of like those. They're a little bigger than those like smart cars, like the 2-door.
A little bigger than those things. Which I always laugh when I see those on the road.
They look like Hot Wheels.
How can you take that seriously? Like, I totally get it. It's fantastic for the environment. I mean, I get it, but
I've rented one on a couple occasions. They did it here in Columbus for like a year, and then for some reason they got outlawed because I think people were just parking them and leaving them wherever they wanted,
like the scooters.
But yeah, I don't know I think the other time I've done it is actually in Denver. There's an app, and you just, as long as you can provide like a state issued driver's license, you can just rent one and unlock it with your phone, which also seems like not very safe for the company. But I don't know. I've done it a couple times. But those things are terrifying to drive. You feel like you're gonna blow over.
I would think so, yeah. But I would have to say, like, in the winter, like a sunny day in the winter on a frozen lake, like I can't imagine that would not be fun.
Right. Yeah.
4 teams of 10 out there. Car curling, I'm in. So if you could set that up, Justin, I will.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another fantasy sport we're discovering on this segment.
I would be all about it. And like I said, I wanted to bring some positivity because I feel like every week I'm like, we're always like, no way, not a chance. Why would you ever do that?
Yeah. This one seems fun.
And this one I thought, I thought it was something that we could get into. All right, well, let's get into the streamers for the week, because that's why people are tuning in and not listening to us talk about fantasy cars. All right, let's start with the quarterback position. Which I think is okay this week. I mean, last week I was very upfront in that I thought it was absolutely horrendous. But this week I don't think it's too bad. I think we have some options. I did cheat a little bit for our first one. It's Justin Herbert against Arizona. In Arizona, he is 41% rostered. So I cheated by 1%, but you know what? The way everything is right now, I don't care. He counts. So Justin Herbert is coming off a fantastic outing against a really tough Denver secondary. I mean, he kind of looked like Herbert of yore, right? The Cardinals are 22nd in quarterback adjusted fantasy points allowed, and they let the Packers score 4 touchdown passes in week 6. So I think Herbert kind of leads the pack for me as far as streamable quarterbacks. I have a feeling he will not be streamable after this week, but he is I think the best option we have out there.
Cardinals allowing says here 71.8% completion rate on the year, which is
wow,
astronomical.
Yeah. That's high. So yeah, I mean, sure, let's fire up Herbert if you need him. The second guy I have is not sexy by any means, but Matthew Stafford against the Raiders. He is 37% rostered. He did have a sore back in week 5. He's had a full week to rest, and allegedly there's no issue there, and he's fine. The Raiders are yielding 19.3 adjusted fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks this season. He may have cutback. He's a pretty decent option there, I think, if you're in need of a streamer there. And the third guy I think is someone that I think a lot of people are going to grab this week, and that is Drake May. He is playing against the Jaguars in London. He's only 6% rostered. He had 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks in his first NFL start. The Jags last week, also in London, surrendered 4 touchdowns to fellow rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. So I think, it's one of those, I'm just trying to think of, what is that expression, like the ship that lifts the boats, or the boat that lifts the sails,
I just wrote that this morning, the tide that lifts all boats.
Thank you.
I wrote that in the tight end streaming article maybe 45 minutes ago.
That's so funny. Yeah, and Thomas Gage added that he did have a fumble. Sure. Yeah, but I mean, we're talking streamers here, and we're in a position where there aren't a ton of options. So, May seems to be a nice little spark there. And they have some weapons. I mean, a lot of them are not names that everybody is super excited about, but they do have some weapons there in New England. And Jacksonville just isn't very good.
Right. They're getting crushed all over the field, actually. Their
defense is just torched, really. So I think Drake May is a third option there, and he's available on 94% of rosters. So there's that. So those are my 3 quarterbacks. I almost had a bonus, and then I took him out because I just I can't recommend that. So we have
when you're going down to 6%, like if May is rostered in your league, then you're probably in a super flex league.
Right. Exactly. Or someone grabbed him. Who knows? All right, let's before we move on to tight ends, let's take some God, I almost said preguntas. Well, because this is okay, so my son is 15. And he has me. We listen to this podcast of these guys that he likes, these YouTuber podcast people. And they have a segment in their podcast where they answer preguntas, but it's Spanish for questions, and that's the name of that segment. And we listen to it every day on the way to school, so it's just in my brain.
Let's get some preguntas.
Yeah,
let's start with Noah.
Let's get Noah in here. Okay, trade Addison for Hunt. Also, what should I do with this team? Okay.
Let's start at the top.
Yeah, let's Addison for Hunt.
I think that's fine. I mean, I'm so worried about that rotation, but I mean, I don't know. They keep giving him the ball. Is CEH really going to be like an issue to Kareem Hunt?
I don't think so, but
yeah,
CEH has surprised us before. Like, we've written him off, and then he randomly shows up for 3 games, and but
I didn't think they were going to re-sign him this season.
Right. And then he's been on the IR for mental health reasons. So we don't even know if he's really going to come back. So, I mean, I guess Addison is tradable.
Like, Addison's going to have some blow up days, but it's going to be so hard to get him in your lineup, or at least from my point of view, it's hard to start Jordan Addison. I mean, he came back and had that 2 touchdown game, which was a little fluky. I don't know.
Looking at your Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was going to say
I was just going to follow up on it was a little fluky.
Yeah, I was just going to say he actually gave us his team, so we could see if he would ever crack the lineup. You have Wilson, Terry,
DJ Moore, probably
DJ Moore, and Jamison Williams. So I can't imagine
Keenan Allen. I mean, it's Addison is like right,
and Dobbs
next to
and Myers.
Yeah, Allen and Dobbs. Right, those are all. Yeah, and now Myers is going to be in your lineup.
Yeah. Now looking at all of that, when we didn't get to the second part, I would do that. I
Yeah,
think it's worth it.
I
I mean, you
agree.
have, I would assume that's Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. Bigsby is good though. He'll probably end up possibly starting here soon. So yeah, I think
Right.
that's a good trade. I'm down
Yeah.
with that. You definitely have an overabundance of wide receivers compared to running backs there. So I would do that. Let's do one more question here. What are your thoughts on Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson's outlook with Adams being traded to the Jets? Whew.
I think Brees Hall is as good, or if not a little better. I think Brees Hall's bottom line grows. His floor is now higher with Devontae Adams. I don't know about Garrett Wilson though.
I mean, I think Wilson may get a little more breathing room, right? I mean, he's kind of it or has been it. Now with Adams there, I feel like he might, Wilson might get a little bit less of the double coverage and he may get a little more breathing room. So that's the one positive. But I don't know. I mean, you have to hope if you're a Jet fan and if you have Jet pieces on your roster, you have to hope that the addition of Adams somehow invigorates Rodgers because he's been. I don't know. That game last night was rough as just a fan to watch from my perspective, but I don't think it hurts. It's not a huge detriment, I guess, is what we're saying. Hall,
I think like Mike Williams is just complete dust at this point with the
yeah,
trade. I mean that's long gone, and
then
Lazard's just going to be like a bona fide tight end.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think it hinders as much as when you first are like, oh no, Adams is going to the Jets. But I think when you really think about it, I think it may give Wilson a little breathing room, and I think Hall will be just fine too.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to tight ends, and then we'll come back to questions. So, Justin, who did you bring with us for Week 7, or bring us for Week 7?
I've got many options as usual because I can't pare my options down. At the top, I have Hunter Henry. He was my cover boy this morning. That sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Drake May obviously gets the nod last week. Up to that point, the Patriots had averaged a little over 143 passing yards per game, which is abysmal. And right on cue, May throws for 243 passing yards. So that's obviously the tide that lifts all boats.
There it is.
Henry finds the end zone for the first time on the season. He only had 5 targets and a 3-catch, 41-yard performance. But, we'll take – if we could guarantee that every week, he'd probably be in all of our lineups. That touchdown that he caught was only the 6th pass attempt on the season from inside the 10-yard line for the Patriots. 28 teams have more pass attempts from within the 10-yard line than 6. So Hunter Henry being a target on that first goal line pass from Drake May is a good sign of things that could come. He faces the Jaguars. Oh yeah. So he gets Jacksonville over in London. Jacksonville ranks, close to dead last in every single schedule adjusted metric you can find, and they rank 29th against the tight end. So Hunter Henry is my top streamer of the week. Second guy I got here is, of course, Zach Ertz. So I can't come off it.
I could see you laughing. I knew where you were going before you even had to say the name.
This is a no upside play, but it is a floor play, as we've said. He had that dud back in week 5, and I guarantee I talked about him because I can't come off it. But I was just so excited that he keeps getting these 4 receptions every week because it's kind of how I thought things were going to go when they signed him for very close to like the veteran minimum back in June. But Ben Sinnott has still not only has he not caught a pass,
what is going on there? Like,
yeah, if you're going to use him as a fullback, which is his best spot, why'd you take him in? They took him in the 2nd round, didn't they? What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing, and I keep wanting to put him in my stash article because I feel like it has to be coming, but then he's getting no targets. It's like they're not even easing him into the whole situation. Like
he's only run like 20 routes or something on the whole season. Ertz is actually the number 2 pass catcher in Washington, which is not exactly what I thought. But he's 2nd on the team in targets, 2nd on the team in routes run, obviously in target share. Yeah. Who are they playing? The Panthers. Yeah. The Panthers have allowed 0.19 EPA per dropback, which is the second highest mark in the league, behind only the Jacksonville Jaguars. Digging a little deeper, and I can run through these a little quicker. Cade Otton, who is actually honestly probably a better play than Zach Ertz, but he's below Ertz because I like Ertz so much, apparently. Cade Otton is the number 3 pass catcher in Tampa Bay, behind obviously Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, but he has been getting more usage over this last month. 27 targets in the last 4 games, playing against the Ravens, who have allowed the 6th most schedule adjusted fantasy points to opposing offenses, and they're giving up the 2nd most yardage to opposing tight ends, behind only the Kansas City Chiefs. Further on down the line, we have Taysom Hill, who's an obvious play if he is healthy. Derek Carr is almost 100% out this week. Alvin Kamara, Rashid Shaheed, and Chris Olave are all dealing with injuries and are currently questionable. I doubt that they're all going to miss, but if any of them miss, it could mean more usage for Taysom Hill. And if it's Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill could very legitimately get 10 to 12 rush attempts, which is a way higher ceiling than we're going to find from pretty much any streaming tight end. And then as a bonus, just to dig super deep, if all of those guys are somehow rostered in your leagues, we do have Jonnu Smith, who had his 2nd game of like legitimate usage in week 5 before the team's bye. He's available in 96% of leagues. If you really need to dig deep, or if you're a tight end premium league, or you're in a 16-team league, Jonnu Smith is perfectly fine to run out there and see if he goes 5 for 50.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I definitely have some Jonnu Smith in best ball. I was hoping that I don't know, Mike McDaniel threw us a little red herring at the during training camps, which we should know better, but we did anyway. And
hey, I mean, with my idea, and I'm sure yours too, if the offense is running on all cylinders, which it kind of looks like through 1.5 weeks, then Jonnu Smith would fall in the end zone, and he was going, what was he even going in the 17th round? He was just like
he was at the end. I mean, listen, none of us saw what has happened to the Dolphins So we may have Tua back here in week 8. And if we do, hopefully that will help all of the pieces in that offense, including one Jonnu Smith. All right, let's get to some more questions here. Let's see. We got Dirty Money. Traded away Hubbard for Achane. Is that good? I have Mostert also.
I think it's fine. Hubbard's looked so good, and we still have no. I know practice window is open for Jonathan Brooks, but we don't know when he's coming back, or not coming back, debuting.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't know if I would have done it, but I think that like I just said, hopefully the Miami offense will pick up here soon, and therefore those guys as well. I mean, Mostert is back, and he had a decent week 5, and then he got another week of rest. So Mostert, I think, should be, I guess, back into the mix. I don't know what I was going to say, but I feel like I don't know. He's been rough to have on the bench for a while. So if you have them both, I think it's okay. Hubbard has been a lot better this year than really we anticipated. He was kind of supposed to be a placeholder for Jonathan Brooks, but here we are entering week 7. And like you said, Brooks, there's really no timeline yet for him to be here. And we don't even know what we're going to see when we get here. So, all right, let's move to Lee Ving. Start May over Kyler Superflex.
I don't think so.
I mean, Kyler has been kind of rough. He definitely has been kind of rough. I think this week they're kind of similar, like a low end quarterback 1, more quarterback 2, really.
Where's Arizona this week?
Arizona's playing the Chargers.
Oh, okay. That could be a slog.
Yeah.
I mean, matchup based, Drake May has a far better matchup than Kyler does.
Yeah, it's just a matter of whether, I mean, now, a lot of these quarterbacks like Spencer Rattler May, when they make their debut, there's no tape on them. They sometimes have a good first week, and then all of a sudden week 2, it's like a deflate balloon. And there's tape now. Other defenses know how to play against them. So I would probably still play Kyler, but you could talk me into May, honestly.
Yeah, it is a far better matchup. But then you got to wake up early on Sunday and set your lineup.
Well, you have
who,
to say
who wants to play anyone in the London game? You got to get up early.
Well, Justin, you can also do it the night before. I hate to tell you, it's
What about all the Schefter bombs at 2 a.m?
Well, that kind of thing is not going to be a Schefter bomb because it's a quarterback.
That's true.
Like they're playing.
That's fair.
I can't imagine. I mean, unless one of them, trips over the coffee table in the middle of the night and breaks a leg. As long as they're both healthy heading into the evening, I think they're going to be all right. All right, let's move on. To...
Roger's the tide that sinks.
Yeah,
maybe.
Listen, he's got some bad karma. All right, let's move on to Thomas Gage. Do I take May or Herbert? Justin's been slinging it more in recent weeks, and I have Ladd in the flex. So you're meaning streamer-wise for this week. I would probably go Herbert. They actually both have. I don't know if you were listening earlier, Thomas, but they're both. I mean, they were 1 and 3 in my streamers for the week. They're both pretty good matchups. I mean, Arizona is 22nd in adjusted fantasy points allowed, which is who Justin Herbert is playing, and he played really well against Denver last week, which is not an easy matchup. So, and if you have Ladd, I would lean Justin. Justin, do you have a?
Not necessarily, but particularly for McConkey, I'm trying to see right now. I mean, he left the field early. And
they all left the field last week. Quentin Johnson left the field too. Like he lost everybody at different points and still had a pretty good game. But
specifically, if you're going to start Ladd, I would keep an eye on that. Unless Thomas, you already know. I don't see it offhand, but don't start him if he's injured, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
I hear you. I don't think he was I don't know if he was asking about Ladd. He was just more commenting on the fact that he has the stack.
Oh, okay. Heard.
Okay, JMW85, thinking about benching Kyler this week. Could pick up Cousins, Caleb Williams, or May. We just kind of pretty much talked about this, but and I feel like Cousins, you can throw him in. I feel like Cousins, May, and Kyler are all kind of clumped, right? In that bottom, like say quarterback 10 through 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Cousins is playing the Seahawks.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Oh, Chicago's on bye.
Yeah, so you can't play Caleb. So it's really one of the, unless you're just talking about in the future, but it's you said this week. So
I might rather have
Cousins.
I might rather have Cousins than this whole group for this week, not for like the rest of the season.
Right. You're not, yeah. No,
he throws for 500 yards, and I'm like, yeah, I'm back.
He was decent last week, and he was decent the week before. I think that I wouldn't drop Kyler, but if you have a spot to just bench him this week, and you want to just 1 week spot start Cousins, I don't hate that at all.
I agree.
Okay, Tyler Sperry, Juju or Christian Watson, Otten or Fant?
Watson.
Are you talking rest of the season or this week? You say Watson
on waiver wires. I really think it's Watson.
Yeah, I mean Juju's tough to count on. He is. I was writing about him this morning, and I realized the thing is, like, he had like 900 yards just like 2 seasons ago for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he has.
They used him in the playoffs too. That
year. I mean, he was horrible in New England last year, right? Fine, we'll just write that off. But the year before that, like, he was pretty decent for the Chiefs. I mean, we have pretty much a 1-game sample without Rice with him. Yeah, it's hard. Like we all know, we talk about this every week. The Chiefs are not consistent when it comes to their wide receivers, and Juju's going to have great weeks, and then he's going to have weeks where he has 2 catches for 18 yards. But Watson, I mean, are you really counting on Watson, Justin? Like you're really, I mean,
I'm here for it. He's going 4 for 160 this week.
All right. Well, Justin and I disagree. I feel like it's.
You just gotta go for it.
I feel like it's Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs. I feel like Watson is third there, and even if Wicks comes back, I don't know. Sorry, Tyler, we don't agree.
But
Otten
Kate
or
Otten
Fant?
for the tight ends.
Yeah, I will. Yes, we can agree there. Otten or Fant. Yeah, of course, Fant got like 23 points on my bench in Scott Fishbowl this last week, which is just brutal. I mean, he was just there. I haven't started him once. Like, he's just there for bye week issues if I have to absolutely start him. And then he dropped, I think it was like 23 points.
I had
And
Sean
that,
Tucker on the bench.
oh,
It was like 52 points. I still
yeah.
scored 213. I would have ran the table, but I was never going to start him. Let's be honest.
Okay, let's take one more here. Leaving any chance Browns, move on to Jameis. I mean, they should,
Not
and
this
we hope
week.
so, but not this week. They are adamant that they're not going to do it. I don't understand why, but I have
Sure
Jameis
would
on
be
two.
nice.
I have Jameis on two benches waiting for that moment. Because I do feel like it should happen. I don't know. Like, I understand they spent a lot of money on Deshaun Watson. I get it, but like everyone, I don't know. I don't understand people that have that. I'm
That
gonna
sunk
die.
cost fallacy, or that
Yeah,
sunk
like
cost idea.
you need to kind of think about it from a broader perspective and do what's better for your team. And right now, it's not Deshaun Watson. All right, let's move on to the kicker realm.
Yeah.
Decent kicker week, I will say. As I said last week, we nailed it on all of our kickers. This week, I have a lot. I brought 5, so I'm going to go quickly through them. It was kind of hard to whittle down. Honestly, I had like 8 on my list, and I had to kind of whittle it down for my article. I think there's one more in the article that I did not include here. But my number 1 kicker on the week is Austin Seibert against Carolina at a 26%. He's 26% rostered right now. He was kicker 3 last week. And the Commanders right now against Carolina are 7.5-point favorites. So they're favored by more than a touchdown. And they have the highest team total of the week right now at 29.75. So to me, Austin Seibert, if he's there, he is the top streamer of the week. The second guy I brought to the table here is Will Reichert against the Lions. He's only 3% rostered. So he is very widely available. Partly probably because the Vikings were on a bye last week, but also because nobody really knows who he is and nobody's rostering him. They're like, who's that? I don't know. Will Reichert, never heard of him. However, the Vikings are home favorites against the Lions, which I found kind of interesting. I mean, I think it's pretty much a pick 'em, I would think, but they are favored by 2.5 points with a 26 points team total. Will Reichert right now is 9 for 9 in field goal attempts, including 3 for 3 in those over 50 yards. So he's been playing well, and so have the Vikings. They are undefeated right now. So Will Reichert is there, and he's available in 97% of leagues. The third guy I have here is good old Jake Bates. He's the Zach Ertz of kickers in the streaming realm. He's there every week, and he will be there until he's over 40% rostered. He was kicker 1 last week, 17 fantasy points. He's back again. This is the other side of that NFC North Vikings.
This could be a shootout too.
Game. Yeah.
Why are people not picking Jake Bates up?
I don't know, but weirdly enough, Vegas does not have this as a huge shootout. Like, it's like 5th or 6th in the
Really?
The total. Yeah, it was really weird. I went to look because I was like, "Oh, I'm going to include that in my," and then I was like, "Oh, they're not." But they have a 23.5 team total this week. The Lions do, and Jake Bates is perfect in his field goal attempts right now in 2024. So he's only 28%.
23.5. I want to go over.
Yeah. No, that's the team total for the Lions, not the game.
Yeah. No. I think
okay.
They're shooing for 24.
Yeah, you would think, and they're I can actually get the actual total for you since I'm here. In this little, they're at 49.5.
That's still pretty good though.
No, it is, but there's like, I mean, that Commanders Panthers game is at 52, and the Falcons Seahawks game is at 50.5. So I guess it's the third game as far as teams or over under on the week.
You love to see that after the first couple weeks when everything was priced at like 42. Like,
right, exactly. So yeah, so that's Jake Bates, still 28% rostered, still crushing it. I have a fourth guy here, and that is Matthew Wright. He is at home against Kansas City, still in for Jake Moody, who I believe is still going to be out with an ankle injury. Matthew Wright had his own injury last week when he attempted to tackle somebody. He hurt his shoulder.
Oh, that's
But
right. I forgot
but
about that.
God, I mean, screaming at the TV, like, dude, don't make a tackle
Stop.
there. It's just not worth it.
You're
Like,
170 pounds. You're not taking
and you're
anyone
gonna
down.
get hurt, which he did. It's a shoulder injury, but he is allegedly fine for kicking purposes. San Francisco is favored by 1.5, so it's basically a pick 'em as well against the Chiefs, and they have a 24.5 team total there. I did bring one extra bonus in case bonus in case Will Reichert, who's only 3% rostered, is taken in your league. Joshua Carty, who is the Rams kicker, for those of you that don't know.
I did not know.
I know most people probably don't. But yeah, Joshua Carty is at home against the Raiders. He is only 1% rostered. Super deep pull, but the Rams are favored by 5.5 over Vegas, and they have a 24.5 point team total. So if all else fails and there's nobody else, remember the name Joshua Carty. He's available in 99% of Yahoo leagues. So yeah, there's 5 kickers. I believe I have 2 more even in the article on 4 for 4. Yeah, it's a good week. There's a lot of kickers out there. And there's only 2 teams on a bye, which is even more like a lot of people may not, Brandon Aubrey, people are going to have to replace him, obviously.
Yeah.
But Cairo Santos is not a highly rostered kicker. So people aren't scrambling bye week wise, but for streaming purposes, there we go. All right, let's take some more questions before we get to our final segment, which is the defense here.
Okay.
Where are we? I lost.
You want to tell JR your QB streamers real quick?
Oh yeah, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and Drake May. You can listen to what I said about them when this comes out on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, those are the 3. While Dak is out. Yeah, there you go. Those are 3. Okay. Steven Soto, is Reed and Tracy for MHJ a bad trade?
I would rather have the former. I think Reed is just about as great, if not better, than Marvin Harrison, actually, at this point.
He's hurt right now.
Yeah.
He was one
I'd
of the
rather
ones.
keep Reed and Tracy if you're on the giving side.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I think that the other 2 are more valuable.
Jaden Reed's like the wide receiver 6 right now.
Is he really?
Something. I guess I could actually look at the answer, but he's up there.
I don't want to get a comment on our thing. Lazy analyst doesn't have the actual thing.
You don't have the top 36 wide receivers memorized.
But yeah, no,
I would still rather have the former.
Tracy looks very good, and I don't know that Devin Singletary is he may be Wally pipped here. So
Jaden Reed is the wide receiver 3 and the wide receiver 7 in points per game. So take that.
There you go.
Take that, hypothetical naysayer.
Hypothetical mean commenter. But yeah, Steven, to answer your question, we both like the front side there. We like Reed and Tracy. So I don't know which side you're on, but it sounds
nothing
like
against Harrison, but I just don't think it's.
Yeah, agree.
It's not
okay.
Tea time with Caleb.
That was a fun game. I don't mind. I mean, it depends on, I guess, what part of the country you live. Like for me, it starts at 7:30 and it's beautiful because I'm
just being negative. It starts at 9:30 here. I'm awake by then. I just don't like starting my lineups.
It's nice to have football on in the background while you're doing lineups and stuff. I don't hate it at all. I would be down for one every week. I'm sure the people that have to travel across the pond wouldn't be super stoked about that. But
they don't like it as much.
As a fan, I would like it. Okay, JR.
We already got him.
Herbert, Gino, Darnold, Herbert. Oh, we did?
Well, he just asked who to stream.
All right. Yes. To answer your double question, Herbert. Fate Rewind. Would you trade Tyreek Hill for Zay Flowers? Well, there's an extra E in there. I figured I'd emphasize it.
Not necessarily. I think I'd rather keep Tyreek. Not for like this week, but for the rest of season, I'd rather have Tyreek than Zay Flowers.
Yeah, in a vacuum, that's you just can't. Yeah.
Like come like week 14, if you're in the playoffs, would you rather have Tyreek Hill with Tua or Zay Flowers, who could absolutely give us 3 receptions in a game?
Yeah, it's hard because Zay Flowers is one of those guys, like you said, he can get you 3 for 46, or he can get 2 touchdowns and whatever. And that offense is tough to predict. I mean, it is a Derrick Henry show right now, as it should be. No, I'm just kidding. I think Flowers is fine, but I would probably keep Hill if it was me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. These are just comments. Okay,
Rob?
Rob H. Should I drop Algier, Braylon Allen, yes, Hall, or Dowdle for Jacoby Myers so I don't have to start Amari Cooper? I would
Definitely
not drop.
not Algier.
I was just gonna say I would not drop Algier. Braylon Allen did absolutely nothing last night, which was the detriment of my guillotine team.
And now there's one more mouth to feed too. So
yeah, but Dowdle to me is pretty darn close to droppable.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So I would say it's between Allen and Dowdle. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing or what they're going to do, but
they're bringing up Dalvin Cook. That's what they're going to do.
Stop.
I bet he's on the active squad this week.
You think Lenny? They may bring in Lenny.
They have Dalvin Cook. He's just on the practice squad.
Oh, is he really? See, I didn't even. I was like, oh, okay.
That's how deep this backfield is.
I totally forgot. I forgot that Dalvin Cook was even there. But yeah, I think Braylon Allen, or Dowdle are your best options to drop.
Not Algier though. Algier's like legit.
Yes, I would not drop him. I just wrote about him. I mean, he had I think 14.3 half PPR points last week. But a lot of it was at the end when it was a very positive game script. They were winning and he was just hanging out, and they were giving Bijan some rest. But yeah, Algier is the best handcuff in the league, and he's close to standalone value on certain weeks. So I would not drop him.
Like a big bye week, I would absolutely start Algier.
Yeah, if you had, So yeah, we say either Allen or Dowdle, whichever. Take your pick. I mean, yeah. Okay. You want to get to defenses first, and then we'll round out some questions before we go.
Yeah, we'll have to lightning round some questions, but I'll be quick on the defense or try to be. So yeah, defensive streamers. First up top, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who I've already mentioned earlier are not the greatest defense, but they do get the Cleveland Browns, who have proven to be someone we need to aim for every week. Honestly, I would say as long as Deshaun Watson's quarterback, but Jameis Winston is very giving to fantasy defenses as well. Cincinnati has scored 8 or more points, their defense, on 2 occasions, including the Sunday night game against the Giants. Deshaun Watson has the 5th highest pressure to sack rate. He has taken 31 sacks, which is the most, and which you can imagine he's lost 178 yards on sacks, which is the highest mark in the league. While we don't get extra points for sack yardage, those are drive killers, and it keeps the floor nice and high when we're playing against them. If the Bengals offense keeps rolling on all cylinders as they were kind of before that Giants game, it'll force the Browns to pass, which means we'll get more fantasy points. So Cincinnati Bengals lead the charge. Below them, I have, maybe not below them, but neck and neck with them, I have the Colts taking on the Dolphins. Per PFF's numbers, Tyler Huntley has the 2nd highest turnover-worthy pass rate at 6.9%. That trails only Anthony Richardson. Huntley has 0.33 fantasy points per dropback, which is barely above Will Levis and Deshaun Watson.
Oof.
And the Dolphins are averaging 10 points per game in the 4 games leading into their bye. You would have to assume they can scheme something a little better than 10 points a game. It is Mike McDonald. He's pretty good at this thing. But I have confidence. Forrest Buckner's back. Colts should be able to put some pressure on Tyler Huntley. They are 26% rostered, so you can find them most places. Below them, a couple of deeper plays in case you're kind of scraping the barrel here. The Commanders are taking on the Panthers. Carolina has looked much better with Andy Dalton behind center, but it's still not someone that we need to actively avoid in matchups. The Commanders are 7.5-point favorites, and if that kind of game script plays out, the defense should be able to pin their ears back and take charge on Dalton. And then my last one here, which is very deep in terms of rostership, but I think is a fantastic streamer this week. We have the Rams against the Raiders. Just cut and dry, the last 4 fantasy defenses to play the Raiders have scored 5 points, 11 points, 16 points, and 13 points. We have confirmation that Devontae Adams has moved on to the New York Jets. I think the Rams are possibly the best streamer on here, even though they're only 2% rostered. Take your pick. Bengals, Colts, Rams, and Commanders. I think they're all great streamers this week.
Yeah, the Commanders' defense has been surprisingly good.
Yeah.
From a real football perspective too. Like you're watching and you're like, okay, they weren't really supposed to be that good this season.
They had a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did. I mean, the whole team kind of did. But and now look at them. Hottest team in the NFC East.
Right.
Their competition is not very is not very stout, though, I will have to say. Yeah. All right, let's get to some more questions here.
Okay, a lot of these questions are about I don't know if you just saw the news broke that Russell Wilson is probably going to start this week. Do you want to just want us to just wax on what we think?
Interesting. That just happened, huh?
Yeah, Lee Ving asks Pickens' outlook. Thomas is talking about the benching.
Why are they doing that? Okay. I'm real time actually very aggravated right now with that decision.
I tried to put you on the spot.
No. I just
I saw the comments.
From a personal level, I actually dropped Russell Wilson in Scott Fishbowl a couple weeks ago because I was like, "There's no way. Why would they possibly do that on a team that's winning?" But okay. Anyway,
so Pickens first, at least in my opinion. I think this definitely gives a boost to Pickens. I mean, obviously, there's going to be far less schemed, designed rushes to the quarterback here with Russell Wilson. So that leaves, maybe 7 more targets to go around, if not more, honestly.
Even though, remember, there was a time that Russell Wilson was a very mobile rushing, like he was one of the running quarterbacks, and now we're so yeah, I think Pickens, he probably gets a small bump with that. I agree with your take there.
He's like a locked in top 30 option. Like I don't know if I would say he's like an every week wide receiver too, but he might be on the fringe.
So that's happening this week.
Yeah, apparently the report I read said first team reps throughout this week with the intention of starting week 7.
All right. Well, I guess Smitty, your question is now moot on Fields or May. Answer there is May because Fields will not be on the field. I don't know. Sorry, Fate Rewind, that we talked about kickers. That's what this show is about. And we did answer your question. So
we actually did answer your question. Tune in next week and watch again.
Cybert has been a sit and forget. Sit and forget. I hope you mean start and forget. Or set and forget. I bet that's what you meant. Set and forget. Yeah. And he has been. He's been fantastic. But he's only rostered in 26% of leagues. So okay.
Let's see.
This is all more about all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Matthew Wright's tackling abilities.
All right.
Let's see here.
What about this Quincy?
Okay, Quincy Davis, Superflex League. You have Mahomes, Lamar, Fields, Stafford.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of need receivers. He wants Mahomes and Lazard. He's giving me MHJ and Brian Robinson. Would you make the trade? So you have Lamar and Stafford basically because Fields is not there.
I don't love it. Lamar has that deep bye week in the week 14 bye week. That's what I was trying to see. Yeah, 14. Isn't that insane? So it's kind of rough to move on. You'd be starting Stafford. You wouldn't have a second quarterback in that first round of the playoffs, which is kind of an issue.
That is rough. But aside from that, I actually don't hate the trade because I don't, like we said earlier, I don't think Lazard is someone that's, especially now with Adams coming in.
Right.
I don't think he has a ton of value other than that random, like you said, he's basically like a tight end.
I think it's fine, and I hate to talk about bye weeks, but try to pick up another quarterback because you don't want to roll into your playoffs and Superflex with only one quarterback. Right.
But overall, I think Mahomes as a fantasy quarterback is tradable. Like he's not one of those that you're like, you got to keep him. I mean, a real life quarterback, clearly he is who he is, but from a fantasy perspective, I don't hate that trade actually. So yeah, like Justin said, do it, but keep an eye on week 14.
Let's see. All right, maybe like 2 more. So we got to run.
Mahomes or Cousins? Is that I mean, against San Francisco, you have Mahomes, and then Cousins is against Seattle. Like on paper, it's Cousins, but I don't know if I could actually do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like on paper, it's Cousins, but I'd probably still start Mahomes.
Heard.
Okay. There's
Where
so
are
many
we?
more, and I feel bad, but okay, let's do one more.
Okay.
Do you think? I don't know. What will you pick, Justin?
All right. Well, here we'll start this one. I can't really tell.
Okay.
Need depth. I'm trying to read it. Need roster space is
Yes.
what he
Yes.
clarifies, or they clarify later. Need roster space. Pick up QB for Dak. Have Kamara, Jacobs, Swift, Hunt, Bucky, Ty Chandler, Lamb, Wandale, Pittman, Addison, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju, and Dubs. Should I trade Hunt, D Hop, and Addison for Stevenson and Taysom to get a tight end fill in? Kareem, Hopkins, Hunt, Stevenson, Taysom. Oh man,
he needs a tight end to fill in for Goddard. Is what
Yeah.
he says farther down.
Yeah, this is you have a deep bench. I'm fine with giving DeAndre Hopkins up for practically anything at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think that Stevenson is a clear upgrade on Kareem Hunt? Probably.
I mean, they keep threatening for him to not be the starter, but I think he's going to be fine. I mean, him and Gibson, like we said, the tide that lifts the boats. I mean, they may be in a they may be in a better spot, and so Stevenson might be in a better spot.
We mentioned Taysom as a streamer. I would hate to have to trade for him though. Like I'm only streaming if I could pick him up off the waiver wire for free.
Yeah,
but it does clear a spot. You need someone. You're not dropping Dak. You don't want to drop Goddard.
No, I mean,
you're not dropping Kamara or Jacobs or Swift.
Why don't you just drop DeAndre Hopkins and pick up a tight end?
Honestly,
that's probably what I would do. Just because Hopkins is just not.
You just straight drop him. Someone will pick him up.
Will Levis is bad,
excited, and
right?
They'll play him and get 4 fantasy points. So
right. I mean, I just think, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that's probably what I would do there. It seems like a too elaborate of a situation to get where you're going when.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, Justin?
Yes, it does. NRB, yes. Play the Colts. May or Stafford? It's probably May, right?
I mean, they're both. I put them both as streamers next to each other. So, I mean, they're both good matchups. It just depends on if you believe in May. I mean, May has a better matchup against the Jags, but Stafford's matchup is really, it's not bad. He's playing the Raiders. Like, let's, so he may have cutbacks. So watch that, but I don't really hate that.
All right. What do you think? Let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thank you all for joining us as usual. We are here every Tuesday at 12 Eastern for our streaming episode, and we try to answer as many questions as we can. I'm sorry if we didn't get to all of them today, but we are up against it. Have a great week 7, everybody. You can hit up myself at Jen Akins NFL on Twitter. Justin is Justin_Redwards. For Justin and I, peace out, everyone. Have a God, I can't believe I just said peace out. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. But everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day and rest of week.